to talk to you. But let this be a lesson to you. A man's closet should be collecting handouts, old clothes.
John Stephenson was one of the greatest voice actors who appeared in famous shows like the Flintstones, Transformers, and even in superhero animated movies like X-Men and the Fantastic Four. This video is as a remembrance of his best characters. In the Flintstones universe, he voiced multiple characters including Mr. Slate, who was the short-tempered boss of Fred Flintstone at the Slate Rock and Gravel Company. He also voiced Joe Rockhead, who was Fred's friend and a frequent member of his social circle. He voiced the Grand Poobah, who was the leader of the Loyal Order of Water Buffaloes and the authority figure in Fred and Barney's Lodge. He voiced Gary Granite, who was sort of a parody of the legendary Cary Grant. He also voiced a character by the name Perry Gunnight, who was a parody of Peter Gunn. He voiced Frank Frankenstone, who was a member of the spooky Frankenstone family and the monstrous neighbor of Fred. He voiced Count Rockula, who was a Stone Age vampire parody that appeared in the Flintstones specials. And the last character he voiced in the Flintstones was Noodles, who was a character that only appeared in the Flintstone Comedy Hour. Now let's talk about the characters he voiced in Transformers Generation 1. He voiced Thundercracker, who was a Decepticon seeker that served as Starscream's lieutenant. He also voiced Cup, who was an old Autobot veteran that was known for his endless war stories he told to the younger Autobots. He voiced another old Autobot called Alpha Trion, who was one of the oldest living Transformers and a mentor figure to Optimus Prime. He voiced Huffer, who was a pessimistic and grumbling Autobot engineer that was known for his constant complaining. And the final character he voiced in Transformers was Windcharger, who was an Autobot with magnetic powers, and was also one of the most impatient and energetic Transformers in the show. He also appeared in the Scooby-Doo universe where he voiced characters like Dr. Jekyll, who was an iconic villain from an episode called Nowhere to Hide. He voiced the Black Knight, who was the haunting suit of armor ghost that appeared in the very first episode. He also voiced the Creeper, who was a hunched green-skinned phantom from an episode called Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf. He voiced a certain caveman who was a frozen primitive man that came into life in the episode called Scooby's Night with a Frozen Fright. He voiced the Witch Doctor, who was another villain in the show, and he appeared in the episode called A Tiki Scare Is No Fair. He voiced Sheriff Bagley, who was the law enforcement figure who mostly appeared in Scooby-Doo crossovers with a show called Clue Club. He also voiced the Red Baron, who was a ghost pilot villain from the new Scooby-Doo movies. He voiced Detective Storm, who was a gritty investigator that was featured in guest star episodes. He voiced a doctor called Rickson, who was a scientist that was also a suspect archetype from the Scooby-Doo show. And finally, he voiced Zelig the Zookeeper, who was just an additional character from the modern Scooby-Doo movies. In the Hanna-Barbera classics, he voiced quite a couple of characters, and here are some of his best takes. Now let's talk about his superhero and fantasy voices. He voiced Professor Charles Xavier in the 1989 X-Men classic known as The Pride of the X-Men. He voiced Magneto in the 1978 Fantastic Four series. He also voiced Doctor Doom in the same show, and he was the archenemy of the Fantastic Four members. He voiced Loki, the Norse god of mischief, in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. He voiced Colossus in the same show, and he was the metallic X-Men member who could turn to steel on demand. He voiced Peter Parker's uncle called Uncle Ben in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. He also voiced one of the Guardians of the Universe called Ganthet in the Duck Dodgers series. He voiced one of the dwarfs in the 1977 animated version of The Hobbit, and his name was Dory. He again voiced the heroic archer known as Bard the Bowman in The Hobbit. And finally, he voiced John Arable, who was Fern's father in the 1973 animated classic called Charlotte's Web,